Everyone, I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for this morning session. Today we're looking at CH50 accounts, still on the theme of customers, and today we're looking at inactive records and how you can use that to help manage your lists. So similar sort of theme to what we looked at yesterday if you attended the filter session. So hiding records, just to make it a bit more manageable. So do watch out for that. Right, let's have a quick look at what we're going to be covering in this session today. Now, we've run inactive records in the past as a webinar where we try and cover all areas where it's available. So it's available in a number of different areas within the software. But today we're just really going to concentrate on customers. It tends to be where we find most people use that option. You might use it in conjunction with the filters option that we covered in yesterday's session. So a little bit of background, we'll run through some demonstrations, talk a little bit about the criteria. So you can't just go ahead and say, right, I'm going to flag that one. It's got to meet certain criteria. So it might not let you. If it doesn't meet that criteria, you'll get a message. So we'll talk a little bit about that criteria just to clarify what it refers to. Reactivating a record. So you might flag one as being inactive and then think, actually, I now want to sort of use that record again. So nice and easy to do that. And obviously, there are alternatives to sort of deleting your records as well. So there are a number of different options. So we'll cover that in a bit more detail when we get to it. And then just right at the end, we'll explain more about the additional support and pick up on any questions that might be outstanding. So let's get stuck in. So why we're going to use inactive records? It's been around for a while, the feature, but it enables you to keep your accounts ledgers tidy, a bit more manageable, hiding the records that you don't need to see. So maybe customers that you know fine well, they were one-off. Maybe you set them up, you want to keep them, but actually they never placed an order with you, or just customers that have gone bust. So if they're on your list, you just want to hide them. You might not be in a position to delete them, but you just want to hide them. Now you can flag your records individually, or if you're on the standard level or the professional level, you can use the batch changes option to flag records simultaneously, and I'll show you what that looks like. So batch change, it's not available in the essentials level of the software. Now, inactive records, when it was first introduced, it was made available to customers in the suppliers ledger, your products and services ledger. Because of the popularity of that and how well it was received, we did extend that to the nominal and bank accounts area as well. So you've got any old records that you just no longer use in those. So you might have old products that you're not in a position to delete. You just want to hide them. So it's a good alternative, nice, simple way of tidying things up. Now, basically within your record, it is a simple checkbox, which you would enable it. It'll essentially hide the record or give you the option to hide it. And then you can, without that tick in that box, it will be displayed. And you've got a little toggle option within the likes of your customer's record. You'll see this in the demo in just a moment, where you can switch that on and off. So it almost acts like a filter that you can just sit there, and you've got a nice little toggle option to switch that on or off for the inactive records. Do you want to show them, or do you want to hide them? It can make a big impact on your reports as well. How many times have you run a report and think, actually, I don't need those to be included? So by hiding them, removing them from your lists, it means they won't be included in your reports. Quite a few benefits to that. So why are you going to flag them as being inactive? Well, maybe you can't delete your records. You'd like to, but maybe you can't. Maybe you can't because the customer has transactions on the activity. So you can only actually delete a customer record if there's no activity left. So you would have had to have cleared your audit trail. Maybe that clear audit trail hasn't removed all transactions. Maybe you don't want to clear your audit trail. You want to leave all that history on there. You can't be specific with the clear audit trail with regard to customer supplier records. You can't say, right, remove the history from that customer, but leave all my others. It doesn't work in that way. So clear audit trail is just across the board. You would set a date and you'll try and clear all transactions that meet the criteria up to that point. So maybe in a position where actually you don't want to clear your audit trail, you want that history to be on there. Maybe you just don't want to delete records. Historically, to hide all records, you would have renamed the customer account to something, do not use, and then apply a filter. Commonly as well, going off from the filter session that we ran yesterday, it's quite common to apply filters based around balance and last invoice date and things like that as well. But this is a nice simple option. But again, to be able to flag a record as being inactive, it must meet that criteria. So we'll come back to the criteria in a few moments. I'm going to quickly run through a demonstration. So I'll share my screen and show you how that works. So if we pop into the customer's ledger, and it's currently telling me at the top, all records are displayed, and I've got 33 records. So if you ever wondered what that means, that's it, how many records you've got on your list there. Now you can see some of mine have a zero balance, and you might think, well, actually just want rid of those. And there is an inactive column, which is completely blank at this point in time. You can hide that column if we'll get onto that one in a moment though. But let's say this account here, this Fred Bryant account, it's got a zero balance. Let's say they haven't bought anything from us for quite some time, or they've gone bust. I just want to hide them from that list. I don't want that Fred Bryant account to be listed on a day-to-day basis, just cluttering up my list. So what I can do is if I just double click to go into the Fred Bryant record, bring up their details, and you've got the little inactive checkbox. So obviously the little sort of help icon to support you on that as well. But if I just tick that to say I want to flag this record as being inactive, and then I save the record, and I'm then presented with a blank record. Now that means it's gone through. It's being able to flag that record as being inactive. And if I go back to the customers list, you'll see in that inactive column, there is a Y next to that Fred Bryant account. If I select an account, just pick on this one. It's ABS Garages. And we'll just try and flag this one as being inactive. I know it won't let me because there is a balance on the account. So I just want to show you what it's like if a record doesn't meet all of the criteria in the background. So I try to flag it as being inactive. When I save that, it tells me it could not be placed as an inactive account. And it gives me the reason why. In this case, it's just saying the account balance is not zero. So we just OK that. So it won't yet let you flag an account as being inactive where it doesn't meet all of that criteria. Now you can flag your records as being inactive one at a time in the way that I've done that. So just literally going into the relevant record and ticking the box and saving it. Or if you are on either the standard or the professional level, you've got an option called batch changes, which may show as a separate icon on your toolbar at the top, or you may find it's grouped in the new edit option. You see batch changes grayed out at the moment because I haven't got anything highlighted. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my zero balance accounts. I could actually just highlight everything and say, right, go through batch changes and flag everything as inactive. Anything that can't be flagged, actually I'll include one. I'll include this FG landscape. It's got a balance. I'll get a message when I try and use that batch changes option saying not all of the records that I've highlighted could be flagged as being inactive. So you could actually just highlight everything and go through batch changes and it'll sort of flag whatever it can. Anyway, we highlight in this case, the 4 records. Let's see if I've got any further down that I could select as well. I've got a few little bit further down. I might as well highlight those while I'm on it. We'll go through batch changes. When we click batch changes, it's going to bring up essentially a a skeleton record for me. So some of the options will be grayed out: account reference, company registration number. These are the ones that can't be changed under batch changes. The ones that are active can be. And obviously in this case, big advantage, it includes the inactive checkbox. So of the ones I highlighted, we've come into batch changes. I want to flag them as all as being inactive. So I tick the box, click save. Always get this message: you've chosen to make changes to multiple records. Do you want to save those changes? Yes, I do. Do get that prompt. Not all accounts could be set as being inactive. Only accounts that meet the criteria have been set as inactive. There's a more information link as well. We'll come on to that in a moment because that just explains more about the criteria. But I OK that for the time being, and you'll see, just click clear. There's a few of these records now have a Y in this inactive column. Nothing else has changed at that point. It's just put essentially that Y is indicating it's flagged. Now the big benefits is this option here, include inactive. It will be ticked by default. It means that any records that are flagged as being inactive will be listed. If I take the tick out of that, it filters them from the list. So it doesn't include any inactive records in this list at this point. I want them back. They're still there in the background, so I want them to be displayed. There you go. I just tick the box. So it's a bit like having a filter, but you've got this additional option, and it's nice and easy just to toggle it on and off. So you can use your filters on top of whether records are flagged as being inactive or not. Now, I did mention about the inactive column. You can hide that if you don't want to see that. Obviously, it takes up quite a bit of space here. You can always make it a little bit sort of narrower if you want to. You can also just hide it. So you might be aware that if I want to show or hide a column on my list, I could just right click any of the column headings. It will give me a list of them. So there is one there called inactive. I take the tick out of that one and it just hides that column. I can still show or hide inactive, the inactive records, but I don't see that extra column now. If I do want to display that column or maybe reset the list, I can just go back, switch it back on, or if you're looking to reset your list, you can just go right to the bottom of that list that appears, use defaults, and it just resets that list for you. For a moment. There we go. So they're back on there. So really easy to use that feature. Now, as I mentioned, it's available in a number of different areas. Customers we've looked at, suppliers, you've got it there. Again, you've got that inactive feature, nominal codes. You can flag those as being inactive. Bank accounts, you've been trading for a long time. You've probably got bank records that are sat there and you think, I just don't need those anymore. Again, you can flag them as being inactive. And then the final area was products and services. And if you do, I suppose, like seasonal trends, you sell clothing, that type of thing, you probably find that a lot of your records become inactive quite quickly. So again, you can easily flag them. And maybe when you are in a position to sort of delete them, you can then just display them and sort of try and get rid of them at that point. In the meantime, flag them as being inactive. You can show or hide them really easily. Right, now I'm going to go back to the criteria. So I've got a list of the criteria. Again, you've got easy access to this one from within our help center. I'm just going to go back to the slides for a moment. So this is the criteria for, once it displays, there we go. This is the criteria to be able to flag a customer as being inactive. Now, some of this is very unusual, the criteria in the background, but it still forms part of that criteria. So first of all, the obvious one, the account balance must be 0. that F, FG landscape company that had the balance before, quite obvious, can't flag that would have been inactive. It had a balance on it. So it must be zero. That's probably the obvious one. Secondly, all transactions must be allocated. So it's if you're in a position where let's say you've got an invoice, you've got a credit note, but they aren't allocated together, so they're not matched together, it means again you might have a zero balance on the account. The transactions might be for the same value, but technically speaking, those transactions are still outstanding. If they're outstanding, so unallocated, then you cannot flag that account. So all transactions essentially must be flagged as having been paid or allocated. Getting on to the more unusual parts, you must have no active recurring items in bank accounts. You haven't set up any recurring payments on account for a customer. You must have no recurring items in invoices and credits. And also, if you're on the professional level, you mustn't be on the, you mustn't have any recurring sales orders. Now, again, moving on to on that criteria, moving on to the two which are very, very unusual, be unlikely that these would hold you back because they're quite rare to come across. Appeal. If anyone uses Appeal, which used to be known as Sage Pay, you can actually set a default customer for that service. You cannot flag a customer record which is flagged for that default as the default for that service. Very, very unusual, that one. But again, it would be something that would prevent you from flagging the record as being inactive. And probably even rarer these days is the accountant link. Accountant link was essentially hidden from within the software when remote data access was made available. And accountant link was where you could put your software in what you termed recording mode. You would put your software in recording mode. You would take that back up to send to your accountant. They could restore that on their software, make any changes, and then it would send you back essentially a list of adjustments, and they could be popped into your accounts. Very little use of that option, which is why it has been removed, superseded by remote data access anyway. But if your software was in recording mode, it would tell you on the status bar at the bottom, it would say in red, like red text, recording. So very, very unlikely. So you would still need to be on version 28 or below to be in that position. But again, that criteria, a lot more detail on, would include the other areas as well. I've included that link so you can download that from our help center or just access that if needed. Now, what about reactivating accounts? How do you go about doing that? Well, number of options for you. One is just to edit the record, remove the inactive flag, save the record. It would essentially reactivate that account for you. You can do that individually, one at a time, or you can do it via batch changes. The other option is just to literally use the record. So we'll run through a quick demonstration, and then you'll have seen really all aspects of inactive records. Just try and quickly share my screen for you. So we got this Fred Bryant account, the first one that we used when we were talking about it. So just let my mouse catch up there. Into the record, and you see it's ticked. So we could take the tick out, and we could save the record. That's it done. No criteria for reactivating account. The other option, obviously, we could do it as a batch as well. So we could always go into, we could highlight a few records, and again go into the batch changes. With batch changes, the little trick for batch changes is when you go into it, see there's no tick there at the moment. If you tick it and then untick it and then save the changes, it would remove the inactive flag from the associated records. And the other option is just to literally use the account. So this Fred Bryant account, if I went into, let's say, batch invoice, and we try and select them from the list, if I do that, we get a prompt saying the customer selected has been set as inactive. To continue, you must reactivate the customer. Do you want to reactivate this customer and continue? If I just click yes to that, I'll just continue as normal. If I just clear that and close out, you see that it's removed the flag automatically. And that would be the same in other areas as well. So if I was entering let's say the customer was paying a deposit or something like that, or was generating an invoice or a sales order, something along those lines, again, I get a similar message. Now, the other one, I'll just show you what it looks like within invoices and credits as well. So if we just pop into invoices and credits, and if we choose a record, now we can actually see which ones are inactive on this list at the moment. I'm going to show you what that looks like when they're hidden in a second as well. So there's Johnson Design and Build Partners. So currently flagged as being inactive. Just okay that. You expect to get a similar message. So essentially, do you want to reactivate it there and then? I could just use yes, continue as normal. Right, let's just close out of that one. And then the final one I want to quickly show you, just something to watch out for. You can see this John Smith account, so Smith G at the bottom. If I hide the records so that the inactive records aren't displayed, if I go into invoices and credits, new invoice, and then access the customer list, scroll down, you'll see it's not listed and there's no inactive column at this stage. And that's because I've got inactive accounts hidden. So if I wanted to use that account, I could, if I knew what the reference was, I could just type that in. So Smith J, I know what that one is. And it would let me select that. Obviously I can't select it from the drop down because it's hidden from that list. But again, if you notice, you can type it in. And again, I would get that message. Otherwise, it's a case of, just close out of that. It would be a case of going back into customers, saying, yes, I want to include the inactive records in my list. And then when we go back to invoices and credits, to invoice, and then from the drop down, you can see we've got the inactive column back. I can just then scroll down and I should be able to see the account this time. There it is. Again, if I select it, brings up the account, recognizes it's inactive, get the standard message. Do you want to essentially or reactivate the account and continue? I just click yes to that and off I go. Let's close out of that one. Now that brings us to the end of the actual demo this morning. So quite short and sweet, this one. Hopefully it's given you a full insight into inactive records. Really good feature Nice and simple, easy to use. Uh, what I do have, if I go back to the slides, is we've got some useful links on the handout for you. Obviously, basically what we covered today, but you'll have the detailed steps. So flagging a single record as being inactive, flagging multiple records. Remember, you don't have that batch changes option on the essentials level of the software. So you can only do them multiple records if you're on standard or professional, and also that criteria, so reasons why you can't flag records. Now that wouldn't just cover customers, it covers the other areas where inactive records is available as well. So those are just available from our help center, but if you've downloaded the handout, those links should work for you. Right, if you've got any final questions for me, if you want to pop them in there, I will try my best to pick those up in just a moment. And just let me know. Is it something you're going to use going forward? We're already using it. So final questions, pop them in there. Again, if you want a copy of today's slides, they're available to download while you are on the session today. Just as a reminder as well, the session has been recorded. A link to the recording will be included on your follow-up email. You'll receive that in around about an hour's time. And there are also links to our webinar page. Our webinars registration page currently includes topics up to and including the end of August. If you think of any topics you'd like to see covered going forward, then do let us know. Now, speaking of letting us know, as you leave today's session, there will be a little survey pop up. If you can take a minute to complete that survey, it'd be greatly appreciated. We always love to read those comments. Have we hit the mark? Is it what you expected? Thoughts and ideas that you'd like to share on how we can improve the webinars going forward, or topics you'd like to see going forward, let us know. If you can take that minute, as I say, greatly appreciated. The follow-up email will be with you in around about an hour's time. Right, last call for questions. If you've got any, quickly get them popped in there. Otherwise, we'll end the webinar at that point. Quick question from Morton there. Morton's just asking, can you use essentially the inactive records and filters in conjunction? Yeah, absolutely. So I'll quickly demonstrate that one. Just quickly share my screen. Go back to customers. So we've got we've got some records flagged as being inactive. We'll just quickly reflag Fred Bryant. So we've got a few more records displayed then. For my laptop to catch up here. There we go. I'll just tick the box, click save. There shouldn't be any reason why that record can't be flagged. Close out. So we've got these flagged as being inactive. We can hide them. We've still got some zero balances on there, a couple knocking around, so we can always go into filter on top of that. And we could start building a filter. So we'll just say where balance we'll do is not equal to, and then 0, click apply. And it should be in that the records that we've now got hidden from our list are the ones that are flagged as being inactive and also the ones that have a zero balance. So the two can go hand in hand. Good question, Martin. Yeah, can't remember if I mentioned that earlier on that you could do that, but yeah, if you missed it, yes, you can. That goes for the other areas of the software where inactive records is available as well. Right, we'll end the webinar just at that point. Once again, if you can, do take that opportunity, that minute of your time, just to provide a little bit of feedback if you've got anything. Always appreciated. And again, anything you'd like to see, pop it on there as well. Hopefully I'll see you on some other webinars. Many thanks.